Hey, this is Chad Jones. I'm bringing a medical malpractice lawsuit against a general surgeon here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, and also a civil rights action lawsuit. And, and you're like, why? Why civil rights? This guy's white, right? I mean, that's that's what I would immediately think. And look, you're going to really think this is funny here at the end. I'm going to also put on my post the laws that were broken, the exact laws, and the ones that we're using to bring against them. A lot of laws have this has happened to since it became a useful tool in the 60s. Anyway, but we're going to get into that. First thing we're getting into is a medical malpractice. And where that comes in is I'm a methadone patient. I've been one for, 7 years, I think, maybe 8. It's been a little while. Yeah, it has, yeah. It's been about 8 years, I guess. Anyway, I take 190 milligrams of that stuff a day. But so I've got a high tolerance. And what they're supposed to do before you have a surgery, which mine was 10 years, nobody could figure out what was wrong with me, and it being my gallbladder, and I had an umbilical hernia too. So he did both of the surgeries at the same time. Whenever he did it, he noted how it was all enlarged, how my regular bladder now is 4 times the size. I'd been in pain every time I ate. It just immediately hurt. I mean, I kept telling these doctors that they had me diagnosed for ulcerative colitis. With literally saying I had ulcerative colitis. If for y'all that don't know what that is, if you've ever heard of like Crohn's disease, it's the sister disease to that. So I figured out everything about that to try and beat it, And so some of the diets helped some very, very small, because I was dieting for the wrong thing. Anyway, come to find out, it's my gallbladder, and how I found out was, honestly, I prayed about it for one thing. I believe in prayer. I mean, and it was like instantly I started using AI, after I prayed, and, it ended up being like the same day or the next day I was using it, actually for the first time, using it for my real gain and help, I guess, because it did. I just told it all my symptoms, and it spit out, because it spit out that it's. I started thinking maybe the pancreas, and it said no, that was the gallbladder, it believed, and of course you knew about the hernias, but that it was the gallbladder and a muscle called the sphincter of Oddi. It's a crazy sounding name. Sounds like a sphere from a movie, you know what I mean? Sphere of Oddi, crazy, but it's a muscle that opens and shuts your bowels. So whenever you eat, and anybody eats, it opens up, and then after you're done eating, after so much time passes, it realizes it and it shuts. That's its purpose, the sphincter of Oddi muscle. Well, what mine was doing, and they couldn't figure it out. They didn't tell me that was wrong with me, but I figured it out. AI figured it out with me. And God's the one that gave us all information, right? But anyway, so it's pow, 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 like that the whole time. So the whole time, it just was nuts. And so you just imagine every time you eat, it's closing and opening. I would hurt from the time I ate all the way till it finally left my body. And I got to where I would just eat once a day, or once a little, or a few little meals throughout the day, but not much, and it'd just be meat. And the only thing I can eat now is baked chicken and water for the most part. That's the only thing that doesn't hurt. But if I drink flavored water, sometimes it even set off this thing. But I'm taking a drug called delcyclamine, which is supposed to help. Okay, guys, I know we're like 5 minutes in this video. But yeah, anyway, I had hurt my back, ended up on pain pills, ended up highly addicted back in the days, back in my late 20s. No, I mean, I had taken hydrocodone stuff, a few times in my life, but not, I was never addicted or anything like that until I was in my 30s. And then I became hopelessly addicted to Percocets, oxycodone, and hydrocodone. I mean, I used it to go to work. I wouldn't hurt, and I would have energy, and I wasn't doing no weird drugs like meth or cocaine or anything like that. So I thought it would be okay, and it wasn't. It wasn't okay to do that. But back then they were cheap. Man, honestly, I know it sounds stupid. You're gonna think, how in the world did you not know that they were addicting? I did not know hydrocodone was addicting back then. This was in the early 2000s. I honestly, I didn't. I was not an expert on pain pills. But yeah, I ended up addicted. That's how I ended up knowing that you become addicted to it after so long of taking them every day. But yeah, they helped me make a lot of money, and that's the way I looked at it. So it didn't even matter when it went up to $5 a pill. I was making money, working, making money. I do construction and stuff. But now I'm back on in my hot shot business, which is driving a hot shot, which I'm starting right back up again. We had to shut it down for a little bit, but we're going to be back in business. And anyway, it's driving all across the United States, delivering stuff. Kind of like a big truck driver, but under 26,000 pounds, everything. Yeah, anyway, so this doctor decided that right before I go into surgery, he tells my wife that my wife brings up, hey, he's on methadone, a high tolerance of it. So after the surgery, what are you going to do? You're going to have to give him something strong to help him. And he goes, he started thinking, and he knew, I'm going to have 2 surgeries. And I've been in pain for 10 years. Nobody's been able to figure it out. I was inflamed everywhere. He knew that. And he goes, and he knew that I'd been waiting 10 years, and I finally found a doctor that would do the surgery. And he tells me, I'm not going to give you any pain medicine when you come out. And he tried to explain to me that my methadone dose would work as pain medicine. That's just not true. For one thing, if you take the same dose of methadone every day, it doesn't even help as a painkiller. It just doesn't. It's not a very good long-acting. It's not even prescribed really for pain. It's prescribed with people that have that are taking pain medicine every day, and then they normally, like short-acting ones, and they normally take a methadone pill here and there to keep them kind of at a steady base where they're not real up or down. It's to keep them from, really going up and down, withdrawing and not, really. Okay, so that's how it works. The drug is made for withdrawals. That's it. It's legal for me to drive, all of it. Okay? So what I'm saying is all this stuff that I can do on this medication, okay? You cannot drive on hydrocodone, Percocets, and all that. It's not legal for you to drive anyway. If they find out you're driving on them, you can end up getting a DWI. So, but methadone, no, not if you're prescribed it and after your baseline dose, after it's steadied out. Anyway, this doctor knows all this. He turns around, tells me that, and I'm like, God, I needed the surgery, so I said, yeah. When I came out of surgery, let me tell you something, I was in more pain. I've had all kinds of pains, but, you come out of surgery, oh, God, it was so much pain in my gut. clenched, scream. Well, I say scream. I was just, oh God, help me. You know what I mean? Praying to God to help me. Pain. I think they gave me 1 dose of pain medicine in the doctor's place, at Bradford surgery, but that was it. And then, man, I don't know if they did, honestly, because I don't remember getting any relief. There was not relief. I woke up, I was in pain. I stayed in pain. And apparently, whenever I turned over and told my wife that I said, if I hold my gut up, I was making kind of a joke. I told her kind of like if I grabbed my hand and I kind of pushed against my gut like this, it's not so bad, And I was making a joke to my wife because I have kind of a morbid sense of humor, okay? Anyway, he turns around and, or the nurse turns around. Her name's Nikki, I can tell you that. But she turns around and doesn't give me the shot. She said, I heard you tell your wife, they're the ones walking me out while my wife was getting the car. And they're taking me downstairs, wheeling me out in a wheelchair. And she goes, I said, ma'am, I'm in so much pain. Why didn't y'all give me anything at least before I left? I said, y'all are sending me out like this. And she goes, yeah, well, you said you were fine back there. I said, no, I didn't. I never said I was fine. She goes, well, I didn't give you that medicine. I said, well, he told you to give it to me. She goes, yeah, but you said you're fine. I said, no, I didn't. She goes, yeah, I heard you tell your wife you're fine. I said, no. I said, if I leaned over a certain way. She goes, oh, well, you'll be all right. And she started laughing. Anyway, I said, take me to the emergency room. So as she's taking me to the emergency room and we're going down there, I finally said, oh, hell no, they're going to screw me over too. They're just going to go to that same surgeon. And so I decided to leave. Come that night, my wife said, well, you should be able to eat anything, you know what I mean? I was hurting so bad. Anyway, I decided I should have looked it up first, to eat a Reese's cup. I ate about a little over half of a Reese's Oreo. I'd never seen them before, so I thought, oh, man, if I'm going to break, that's the one. Anyway, I ate about almost a whole one, I guess. It wasn't quite a whole one. It was over half, but not quite a whole one. Before it stopped me in my tracks, it was, oh, my God, the bowel juices. I could literally feel that stuff going on, just tearing me up. Well, I turned around and I said, oh, my God, I need to go to the hospital. But anyway, my wife was going to bed, and I didn't want to mess with her at night, so I said, well, we'll just go in the morning. And I was taking everything for heartburn, everything for whatever I could find to help, which wasn't much. Drinking a lot of cold stuff I was trying to do to just at least help a little. It was bad. Anyway, a lot of pain, tons of pain. And then I ended up, I was constipated 2 days before surgery. So I was like 3.5 days now without using a bathroom. So I bought a bottle of Magnum Citrate. I drank it. And then I was in 10 times worse pain than I was in. And I was like that for about 15, 16 hours. I ended up at Baptist hospital after that. And they helped me get my stomach. They tried to help me. I'm not naming the hospital that messed up yet. But the one that helped me was Baptist. At least they tried to help me, they tried to get my stomach steady, and but they were only giving me morphine, 4-8 milligrams. And I told him, man, and the doctor was like, I don't know what to do because the surgeon, he didn't do it, so I don't want to mess up what the surgeon didn't do. He said we can end up in trouble, so they were scared to do much, So anyway, he was just trying to give me something. I guess he thought maybe, I don't know what he thought. It was in my head. I don't know. Like if I heard it would help. I don't know. It didn't help. Anyway, so I left that hospital, and literally, guys, it's 2.5 weeks of just staying curled up on a recliner in pain. Just in pain, man. Really get to know all the horrible thoughts and feelings, and I getting up, using the bathroom, everything. man, it was hard, you know. I spent 10 years in hell already, and this just made it worse. And what got me was I called a bunch of times trying to get help. I mean, and they would not do it. They would not help. I mean, they just wouldn't. One time, like his co-doctor, or I say co-doctor, another doctor that night or the next day, whatever it was, like the day after surgery, he finally said, all right, he thought he was doing something because he prescribed me some 7.5 hydrocodones. Here's the deal. If you're at 190 milligrams of methadone, they have to meet your baseline. They've got to, normally, if you know the surgery's coming up ahead, which they knew a month ahead, they should have been coordinating with my methadone clinic. My methadone clinic said, well, they'll call and coordinate with us. Don't worry about it, Chad. Well, that never happened. They never did it. I thought they did it. No, whenever I go into there, I mean, I knew that they didn't drop my dose any, so I just figured that they would meet me at my baseline and then just go from there, which means to you got to like increase over and above, or it's got to be a different kind of drug, a harder drug than it. And they know which ones to use. I mean, I don't honestly, but I mean, I've looked up certain drugs that would help that they prescribe, which a lot of it's just oxycodone in high doses. Like they have oxycodone 120 milligram pills, so they would probably give me 2 of them and tell me don't even, you know what I mean, take your methadone that day. Or they might make me take my methadone and take 120 milligrams of that on top of it a day. Who knows? But you can't give me a 7.5 milligrams 3 times a day and think it's going to help. It would help the average Joe, but it's not going to help somebody like me that's been on methadone for around 8 years in high doses of it. Guys, look, it's called a civil rights. The government put out a long time ago, back in like the 60s and 70s, that they can't break your civil rights. That means that if you're taking methadone, they can't not give you pain medicine because you're on methadone. It's kind of like saying, because guys, like my methadone clinic kept trying to get a hold of them to tell them that my pain receptors are wide open. I can feel everything just like everybody else. Guys, it was like having 5 puncture wounds in my gut. Just imagine somebody stabbing you that damn deep in your gut, twisting that damn thing around, and then take it out, throw a few stitches here and there, and tell you you'll be all right. Dude, that surgery, for one thing, I don't know why, but it takes 6 hours to do. So don't be thinking it's a small little surgery. It's a laparoscopic surgery where they use a robot to go in and use these arms. You know, but they get 5 big holes, and they did like a big one in my where my hernia was. They did one there, you know what I mean, to rip up and, you know, to get in there. And they had other puncture wounds here, and here. I mean, it's all around here. I'll show you one day. But anyway, I don't feel like lifting up my shirt right now. It looks ugly, you know. But yeah, guys, they screwed me up, and they don't give a shit. I met with them on this last Thursday. Yeah, this last Thursday, and he met me. Well, I met his nurse practitioner, and I told her enough stuff. She was so concerned. Me and my wife were there. She went and got him, and when he came in there, of course, I was pissed. And I was talking to him, and I said a cuss word. A cuss word came out of my mouth, and he was like, "What do you want your kids to leave? Your kid to leave?" He's trying to get her and him to leave so he could say his bullshit and no witnesses except for his own. So I thought that might be what he was doing. So I said, "No, they can stay." And I told him, "Dude, you didn't give me anything to help me, and you knew you were supposed to. You chose not to. I was in hell. I called your office over and over and over again. You put down, one of y'all wanted to put down that I'm taking methadone for pain management, which y'all know it's for substance abuse. Y'all asked where I went. I said Roland Medical Treatment Center. It is a drug treatment center that's for opioid addiction, okay? And I take methadone for. But whenever you're having heavy surgeries like this, they don't have a choice but to give you opioids, guys. I mean, they just don't. But I go to methadone clinic so they can lower me down and raise me up here. It's real simple for them not to mess up. And really, and not even, I may not even feel high. You know, they know how to do it, right? But they turned around and chose not to. You know, and left me in pain and in hell. You know, and here I am throwing up. Dude, I used the bathroom. They knew whenever I'd seen them at that time, I had not used the bathroom. That means poop. I finally did 4 days after the surgery because I drank magnesium citrate to finally use the bathroom. You know, I'd ended up in the hospital. My stomach blew up, and that was like 24 hours afterwards. I was calling his doctor's office, telling him what happened. I messed up and ate a peanut butter cup, and my stomach was so swollen it felt like it was ripping my insides apart. That's what it felt like. So I don't know what's going on. Please help. They never once even said, hey, you need to go to the ER. I chose to go to the ER, and I went to a different ER than theirs. And they didn't like that, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to bring you the names of these guys. And they're crooked. They're so crooked and evil to do what they did. I mean, he turned around and tried to put a report afterwards, 21 days post-op after the surgery, to explain everything that I said. He turned around to try and rebuttal everything on that paperwork, and every one of them was a lie that he put down. He tried to say that, and Chad's taking it for substance abuse and pain management. Well, guess what? They don't prescribe the same thing for pain management as they do for substance abuse. That's not how that works. And he knows that. It's not methadone. He knows every bit of that. Anyway, him reaching just made him look so desperate. I know he's a freaking liar, and somebody like that, he's like called the chief of medicine up there, dude. And you're gonna tell me he didn't know what the federal guidelines are for methadone patients before they go into surgery and afterwards? They're supposed to like either lower their dose on methadone as they rise it up on oxycodone. That's supposed to be like a tit for tat trade-off. You get it?